Yo, what's up, guys? It's Noah here, breaking down the NBA slate on Draftkings and Yahoo for Wednesday, January the 29th. We're going to cover Wednesday's six-game slate, go position by position, just talk about the plays that stand out to me the most, looking at the slate the night before. As we go through each position, we will build out an early core of five players that I do like specifically for DraftKings, and we'll look at core that I like over on Yahoo as well. Just before we do get started, guys, as always, I would greatly appreciate it if you would drop a like down below. If you are new to the channel, this is your first time checking out a video on my channel, thank you so much for clicking on the video. Make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Also, be sure to click the notification bell so that way you do get notified every time I upload. You'll never miss out on a new video. And if you want to, you can follow me on Twitter. Link down below is my Twitter account. I'm very active over on there. So if you want to give me a follow over on Twitter, I would greatly appreciate it. You can also check out all the exclusive content I do have to offer over on Patreon. I do post these YouTube videos the night before. These are kind of my first looks of the slate. I do post more updated and in-depth content over on Patreon, especially on a day like yesterday when Giannis got ruled out. That really just changed the slate, made you get on guys you weren't on, and then made you less interested in players before. Like the slate can totally change with just like one injury. A guy like Giannis being out can just totally change everything. So I do provide a lot of updated, in-depth content over on Patreon. If you want to check out all that I have to offer over there, link is down in the description to my Patreon. But let's go ahead and take a look at today's six-game slate. We'll start off at point guard, where we do have a big injury to watch here, and this is definitely a slate where we do have some injuries to watch. As of Tuesday night, James Harden is questionable. Heading into Wednesday, Andre Drummond is also questionable. Kyrie Irving's expected to play. Levine's expected to play. But Clint Capella is questionable, which is a big one to watch. We know Aldridge is going to be out. Brogdon is questionable. Victor Oladipo is expected to make his debut for the Pacers, so that'll be something we'll talk about as well. I believe there's another one. Yeah, Miles Turner is questionable. So like Miles Turner, Malcolm Brogdon, obviously James Harden, Andre Drummond, Clint Capella. These are the big injuries we need to watch heading into Wednesday, and by the time you're watching this video, there could be even more injuries that break on Wednesday afternoon. So let's just take a first look, start off at point guard with James Harden. If he plays today, I think he is in a really good spot, and I like the price tag quite a bit on DraftKings. He's only $10,600. His price tag has come down quite a bit because of the poor play recently. Just like his last 3-4 games, like under or 50 DraftKings points, or like 52 DK points or less in like 5 straight games, I believe. Yeah, 5 straight games, got 37, 44, 29 DK points. Like Harden has just been really struggling recently. Maybe it was because he was a little bit injured. He has missed some games. I think he's missed like the last 2 or 3 games. If he plays, I do have some interest in him if he's like confirmed fully healthy. If he's out though, Russell Westbrook's going to really stand out on both sides. And honestly, I think even if Harden plays, like you can still go to Westbrook. He's been playing at a very high level recently. James Harden's been kind of underperforming lately, but Russell Westbrook has definitely stepped up his game. I mean, just look at the game log. I know game log isn't everything, but 56, 69, 60, 70, 69, 69, 52 DraftKings points. Like Westbrook has been on an absolute tear recently. This is a fantastic matchup against Portland. Terrible defensive team. Looking at defensive rating this season, Portland does rank 26th in defensive rating. They have been one of the worst defensive teams versus point guards. And Westbrook has had a ton of success in this matchup. They've played 2 times this season. Westbrook's averaged 69 DraftKings points in those 2 games against Portland. So regardless of James Harden's status, I think Westbrook's a really good pay-up option today. If Harden winds up out, obviously Westbrook probably becomes one of the best pay-up options on the slate. $49 on Yahoo, 10-4 on DraftKings. I like him a ton here. I mean, we'll take a look at his numbers with Harden off the floor. You guys know to play Westbrook if Harden sits, but I'll just take a look at the numbers so we can see how much he benefits, how much the usage actually increases. So Westbrook's played 407 minutes with Harden off the floor, has a 41% usage rate, just absurd numbers, 54% assist percentage, averaging 1.73 fantasy points per minute. He would be a top play today. Eric Gordon's averaged over a fantasy point per minute as well, so he could be someone worth considering. But I mean, Westbrook gets nearly an 8% bump in usage, 0.35 fantasy points per minute more. Like Westbrook's a great play today. If Harden plays, a little bit less interested, but you can still go to him. Damian Lillard's at 10-5 with CJ McCollum back. Like Damian Lillard's still in play. Like he's not completely out of play. He did have a monster game last game, even with McCollum back. Put up 84 DraftKings points in 38 minutes against the Pacers. We know Damian Lillard's going to play huge minutes. This is a fast-paced game. This game, we don't have a total right now, but I imagine once we do get a total on this game, it is going to be one of the games with the highest totals on the slate. Because you just look at pace this season, Trailblazers rank 11th in pace. The Rockets rank 2nd. Should be a lot of points scored here. Lillard would definitely be behind Westbrook and Harden for me, but not completely out of play. I just would consider him more of a secondary option. Now that the price tag's really getting up there, I would rather go to guys like Westbrook and Harden, who have higher usage rates or have better fantasy point per minute production. Those are the guys that I like the most. Kyrie Irving, I think, is definitely in play at 9,100. I really like the savings dropping down from like Lillard to Irving. That's one of the reasons I don't love Lillard, because you have Irving for 1,400 less. Kyrie started to look like himself, especially last game against Detroit. In this same matchup, he put up 65 Draftkings points in 40 minutes. That was an overtime game, but even at the end of regulation, Kyrie had like a monster game already. I mean, he's done really well in this matchup. He's averaged nearly 59 Draftkings points through 2 games against Detroit. I still like Irving quite a bit at 9,100. I think he's definitely in play as a pay-up option at point guard today. You could go to guys like Fox and Mitchell, but don't have a ton of interest there. If Andre Drummond winds up out, I would be a little bit more interested in Derrick Rose. I think he would become a viable option at 7,600. Not much in the mid-range that stands out. Like John Moran against the Knicks, you could go to at 7,200 for tournaments. CJ McCollum does feel a little bit underpriced. We know he's going to play huge minutes. Fast-paced game against the Rockets. I think he's a fine option to go to at 6,900. Victor Oladipo is someone I want to talk about. So on DraftKings at 6K, I don't think he's in play at all. Like, we don't know what his minutes are going to be like. He's going to be on a minutes restriction for sure. And I imagine it's going to be a pretty strict minutes restriction. Like, I don't think he's going to play like 25 minutes. I think he's limited to 15 to 20 minutes. But if we look over to Yahoo, I do want to talk about Victor Oladipo on Yahoo because he is minimum salary. He's only $10. I don't think he's out of play on Yahoo at this salary. Even if he plays 20 minutes, at $10, like, you probably want Oladipo to get you about 20 to 25 fantasy points to be a good play at this salary. And if he gets 20 minutes, like, Oladipo has been a fantasy point per minute player just throughout his career and with the Pacers. The matchup isn't great. Like, the Bulls are a good defensive team, especially versus guards, but Oladipo is going to come off the bench. If he's going to run the second unit, like, he could easily go for 25 fantasy points in 20 minutes. So definitely going to have my eye on Victor Oladipo. I don't think he's out of play at all on Yahoo. Now, if he's going to be limited to like 10, 15 minutes, then even at $10, I'd probably shy away. But if we can get 20 minutes from Victor Oladipo at minimum salary on Yahoo, I think he's definitely in play. 6K on DraftKings, I won't be going there today. I don't know what he is on FanDuel. I'm sure he's probably really cheap on FanDuel, so maybe you could go there. But Yahoo, minimum salary, like, I actually have some interest in Victor Oladipo today. Chris Dunn's been playing really well recently, been contributing in all categories, getting points, rebounds, assists, picking up defensive stats. He's found to go to at 5,500. With Westbrook back, I really don't have any interest in Rivers. Even if James Harden is out today, like, I really don't want to go to Rivers just because playing alongside Westbrook, he's not going to have the ball in his hands at all. We saw it was like Sunday's game against Denver. That was a game where Harden was out. Rivers did get 34 minutes off the bench. He had 27 DraftKings points. I'd probably project him for a little bit less than that, probably like 30 minutes and 25 DK points if Harden's out, but that still doesn't make me want to like go run out of my way to play him at 5K. I think a guy like Tomas Satoransky is a guy I'd rather go to. 4,900 on DraftKings. His play has really been improving the last 2 games against Cleveland and San Antonio. He was definitely going through a rough stretch where he just wasn't producing at all. The minutes were kind of down. Last 2 games, though, he has got 30 and 28 minutes, 41 and 29 DraftKings points. At 4,900, especially given that, like, we're waiting on value, we're kind of waiting on injury news. We don't know what kind of value we're going to get on Wednesday. I think Satoransky's fine to plug in as early look value. He's very cheap over on Yahoo as well, $14 at point guard. I think he definitely stands out as a value to go to there. I'm pretty sure he's been a fantasy point per minute player this season, but we can take a look at his rates with the Bulls. His minutes, like, they're always up and down, which I guess is like one of the big question marks when you roster him. Like, you never know. He could play 34 minutes. He could play 22 minutes. Like, we just don't know. Lately, like last 10 games, he only has 1 game with 30 minutes or more, which is obviously concerning. But he's shown potential that he can get 30, 35 DraftKings points in 30 minutes or in 25, 28 minutes. Let's see. He has been a .88 fantasy point per minute player, which that's solid. I mean, 27% assist percentage. it's kind of just like an early look value. Maybe we'll get some better value and we won't need to go to Satoransky, but for now, I do like plugging him in as a cheap option at 4,900 on DraftKings. Bruce Brown, you could also look to. In this matchup against Brooklyn, they do use Bruce Brown a lot to defend Kyrie Irving. He played 36 minutes in that game against Brooklyn a couple days ago, had 31 DraftKings points. I would not be surprised at all if he gets big minutes again. Like last time they faced Brooklyn, I think it was earlier this season, Bruce Brown played 40 minutes in that game. So at 4,600, he's for sure in play as a value, especially if Drummond winds up out. I would be even more interested in Bruce Brown. Reggie Jackson as well you could look to, especially if Drummond's out. His minutes been slowly increasing, 25 last game against Cleveland. I expect he gets probably 26 to 28 minutes today. You could definitely go there as a value point guard with Reggie Jackson, but I think that's it for point guard value plays. So let's go ahead and move on to shooting guard now. So at the top here, Zach LaVine, not that interested in him at 8,600 on DraftKings. Not the best spot either. Like LaVine's just a guy that I rarely play, especially when he's at this price tag. I like to play LaVine when he's like in like the high sevens, mid sevens. When he's like 8,500 near 9K, it's just tough to play him. He never feels like a guy you have to roster at that salary. DeMar DeRozan, I would much rather roster for cheaper. It's a tough matchup for DeRozan as well, but we do already know that LaMarcus Aldridge is out today. And DeMar DeRozan does get a pretty sizable bump in usage with LaMarcus Aldridge off the floor. We'll take a look at his rates this season with Aldridge off. He really benefited last game. He did have a big game. It did go to overtime, but he still finished with 53 DraftKings points in 36 minutes against the Bulls in that game. Had 36 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists. Just a really productive game overall. Usage rate for DeRozan's up to 33% with Aldridge off the floor, averaging 1.25 fantasy points per minute with a 27% assist percentage. Definitely have some interest in DeMar DeRozan today. The price tag's up there, like he's over 8K on DraftKings. He's up to $40 on Yahoo, so he's not a must-play by any means. But if I was playing multiple lineups, he would for sure be in my player pool. If I'm only playing one lineup today, I don't know if DeRozan makes it into my one lineup. It might be other ways I look to go. But I would definitely get exposure to him if I'm playing multiple lineups. With Westbrook back, I really have no interest in Eric Gordon. Even if Harden's out, I really don't want to play Eric Gordon at 7,300. I know he exploded last game, but a lot of that had to do with both Westbrook and Harden out. Westbrook's going to be back. Harden could be back as well. Really no interest in Gordon. Now, if Harden's out, then $19 on Yahoo. You could play Eric Gordon over on Yahoo if Harden winds up out. He is a fantasy point per minute player with Harden off the floor. He'll probably get a lot of run. I mean, he played in that game against Denver, 35 minutes, 28 fantasy points. I'd probably project him for similar numbers today, if not a little bit better, which would make him a pretty solid option at $19 on Yahoo. But other shooting guard plays, I think Dylan Brooks in this mid-range is a fine option to go to against the Knicks. Not a core play by any means, but would definitely have him in my player pool for sure. If Malcolm Brogdon remains out, like Jeremy Lamb, you can maybe look to. With Victor Oladipo making his debut, that's going to take usage away from guys like Lamb, TJ Warren, but we know Oladipo is going to be limited to probably 15 to 20 minutes. So I don't expect him to have that big of an impact, at least not right now. When Oladipo gets fully healthy, you're definitely going to see these guys, their production go down. But if Brogdon remains out, I think Jeremy Lamb at 5,200 is definitely in play. He has really benefited last few games with Brogdon out. 28 minutes against Golden State, 32 DraftKings points, 34 minutes against Portland, 38 DK points. Definitely in play at 5,200. But in terms of value at shooting guard, for looking for cheap plays, I mean, really not much stands out here in terms of value, at least not as of Tuesday night when I'm recording this video. Maybe that'll change, but right now I'm not seeing a ton of great value plays down here. So let's go ahead and move on to small forward. We'll talk about this position. So at small forward today, looking for guys that I haven't already talked about that I have some interest in. Really not much stands out at small forward. DeRozan you could pay up for. The mid-range I don't really like Gordon, Hield, Gallo, Marcus Morris. I probably won't be going to any of those guys, at least not as core plays. If Harden's out, I think Daniel House you could look to. I did like him quite a bit on the last slate where he was really cheap with Harden and Westbrook both out. Capella was out as well. He did play 46 minutes, and that was in regulation. He barely came off the floor. He literally got 2 minutes of rest, and other than that, he was on the floor for literally the entire game. Put up a monster game, 47 DraftKings points in 46 minutes. He obviously will benefit with Harden potentially being out today, but with Westbrook back, don't expect nearly as good of production as you got last game. It is a fast-paced game though against Portland. At 5,500, Daniel House is not completely out of play. But if Harden plays, then yeah, none of these guys I really want to go to. None of these secondary options I want to go to. If Harden plays, it's just mainly Harden and Westbrook that I like from Houston. And then Lamb you could go to as well. Trevor Ariza is going to play a lot of minutes, but you just don't know what his production is going to be. Plus, he's 4,900, so really don't have a ton of interest there. For cheap plays at small forward, Bruce Brown's a fine option to go to, especially if Drummond's out. He could be a value you look to. But small forward's really gross today. There's not a ton that stands out in terms of value plays. I mean, DeRozan stands out as the best option here. Lamb you could consider as well. You could play, especially if Brogdon remains out. But yeah, this is a pretty gross position. Nothing sticks out, at least as of now. Maybe that'll change, but might just... I mean, I said I wasn't going to prioritize DeRozan, but you might have to today just because the position's so bad. There's really nobody else that really stands out as small forward. So let's go ahead and take a look at power forward now. This is a position where you do have a lot more intriguing plays. At the top, you do have Domantas Sabonis at 9,400 on Draftkings in a great matchup against the Bulls. We do know that Miles Turner is questionable for this game. Malcolm Brogdon is questionable as well. Last game with Miles Turner out, Sabonis absolutely went off against Portland, played 41 minutes and had 66 Draftkings points, had a triple-double, 27, 14, and 11. This is the kind of upside this guy has when he gets big minutes, especially when Turner's off the floor and he gets all his minutes at center. Sabonis is very productive when he plays his minutes at center. His rebounds go up. He's just a more productive player overall. It's tough to get to him on Draftkings at 9,400, but Yahoo, it's much easier. $41. One of the reasons I don't love DeRozan on Yahoo at 40 is because I'd much rather play Sabonis for just $1 more. So I'm definitely going to be looking at Sabonis at that salary, especially in this matchup. I mean, this is a matchup I've targeted all season. Power forwards and centers against the Bulls. It's just been a gold mine. They're not good against power forwards and centers in terms of DVP. They're a really bad rebounding team as well. They do rank 29th in rebound percentage this season. This is a team you can attack down low, especially with how depleted their front court is right now. So I like Sabonis a ton in this spot against the Bulls. I think he's definitely in play as one of the better power forward options to pay up for. If Miles Turner remains out, I'm just going to like Sabonis even more. That would make him even more appealing for me. You could look to Randall, but I think if I can, I try and find the salary to get up to Sabonis if possible. Bielitsa I do like quite a bit. He had a big game last game. 41 minutes against Minnesota, 54 Draftkings points. Bielitsa has this kind of upside when he's getting the minutes. And with no Bagley, with no Rashawn Holmes, they're going to continue to give Nemanja Bielitsa huge minutes. So I think he's still in play today. He's $26 on Yahoo. You could definitely look to him over there as well. He's probably my favorite power forward to go to between all these 6K guys. It'd be close between him or Triple J. I think I would prefer Bielitsa for just a little bit more. In the 5K range, though, not much stands out here. Thaddeus Young, you could consider at 5,300. Revenge game for him against the Pacers. We know he's going to continue to start, play probably 30 to 35 minutes a night. The production's been pretty consistent, 26, 24, 28 Draftkings points. You've yet to get that ceiling game from Thaddeus Young, but I think he has that 35, 40 point upside in him. He can get a double-double, can pick up defensive stats. Against the Pacers, a team that does play big, they're going to need Thaddeus Young's size out there, so I like him in the mid-range at power forward at 5,300. In terms of value plays, though, I do want to talk about Christian Wood. So with Andre Drummond questionable, especially with how many games Drummond has missed, it seems like every time Drummond's questionable, he winds up out. I'm going into this slate assuming he's out. If we need to make changes, we can. Luckily, this is a 7:30 game, and Detroit's not on a back-to-back, so we should get some word either before lock or even in the afternoon after their shoot-around. We should get an update on Christian Wood. If Drummond winds up out, I'm going to love Christian Wood on both sides. He's going to become a great value, and I'm fine plugging him in just at least as of now. If we need to take him out, we can. I will have updates over on Patreon throughout the day once we get all these injury updates. But right now, I do like Christian Wood as a value play. He's center only on Yahoo, which sucks, but he's still a really good value, especially in this matchup against Brooklyn. This is a matchup we've targeted all season. Bigs against Brooklyn. This team really struggles to defend bigs. I know Christian Wood's not going to get starter minutes. He's not going to play 35 minutes. And it's possible he doesn't even start. Even when Drummond's been out this season, they still bring Christian Wood off the bench. But I know these two games against Memphis and Sacramento, these were two games where Drummond was out. In those two games, Christian Wood played 25 and 28 minutes, had 28 and 32 DraftKings points. If Drummond's out today, I'd probably project him for similar numbers, which would make him a pretty solid value at 4,500. With Clint Capella doubtful, or not doubtful, but with Clint Capella out last game, PJ Tucker did get the start at center. Capella is questionable today. If he winds up out again and PJ Tucker starts at center, especially if like Harden's out, I mean, he's not the worst play. He was really productive last game. 32 DraftKings points, had 9 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 block, and 1 steal. Like, he's going to have to play big minutes. I don't know if they're going to start him at center again. They could go to Isaiah Hartenstein. I know this is a play that burned me and a lot of people. Like, I was on Hartenstein. He was like 60% owned on the last slate. Once we got the news he wasn't starting, I was a little bit concerned about his minutes. I wasn't sure how many minutes he was going to play. But even with Capella out, I thought there was, even coming off the bench and with Capella out, I thought he would still get like 20, close to 25 minutes. He played 6 freaking minutes last game, which was so unexpected. With this matchup against Hassan Whiteside, if Capella winds up out again, like, don't be surprised if Isaiah Hartenstein does get the start here. Like, maybe they could use PJ Tucker at center again. It actually kind of worked against Rudy Gobert. Like, Gobert really didn't have that productive of a game against PJ Tucker. It would seem pretty weird to put PJ Tucker up against Hassan Whiteside, who's like 7 feet tall. But, I mean, Gobert is pretty big as himself, so they could do that again. Just be ready, especially like if we do get the news that Capella's out. Be ready close to 10 o'clock to make some adjustments, because I would not be surprised at all if Isaiah Hartenstein does wind up starting this game against Hassan Whiteside. But that'll just kind of have to be news we wait and see on heading into Wednesday's slate. Obviously, if Hartenstein starts, he'd be a great value play. I mean, the guy's a point-per-minute player. He's been so productive when he gets the minutes. So, obviously, if he would wind up starting, I'd be pretty confident in his minutes. But let's go ahead and talk about center now just before we end the video. So, at the top, you do have Drummond at the top, 9,700 against Brooklyn. If he plays today, this is a great matchup against the Nets. I think I'd still prefer to go to guys like Westbrook, even Harden if he plays. You do have Kyrie for a little bit less. So, those guys would probably be the priorities for me. But if Drummond plays, he's definitely not out of play against Brooklyn. I mean, this is a matchup where he should have a ton of success. Through 2 games against Brooklyn, he's averaged 64 DraftKings points against them. They just played a couple days ago, and he had 54 DK points in 41 minutes. Like, it's just a wait and see here. I mean, if Drummond plays, he's in play for me. If he's out, though, Christian Wood would be the guy that I like, and Drummond being out would open up even more usage just for, like, the guards and stuff. Markieff Morris, I didn't mention him as well. Markieff's 4,400. If Drummond's out, you could definitely consider Markieff Morris. But let's take a look at some other centers. You got Sabonis you could play here, who I have quite a bit of interest in today. If Capella winds up out, I think it's a really good spot for Hassan Whiteside. I know PJ Tucker did a really good job of defending Gobert, but I don't know if he's going to have that same success against Whiteside. So I would definitely like Whiteside quite a bit at 8,500 if he gets matched up with PJ Tucker. Even if he gets matched up with Hartenstein, I would still like him quite a bit. Jonas Valanciunas, though, I do want to talk about on DraftKings. So he's 6,400 on DK, which is a very appealing price tag for Jonas Valanciunas, especially in a matchup against the Knicks. This is definitely a spot where Joe Val can have a lot of success. This is a spot where I think he gets the minutes as well. I did have some interest in him on Tuesday's slate against Jokic. I thought it would be a matchup where he would get the minutes. And right now, as I'm recording this video, at 10 o'clock Eastern Time, Tuesday night, Valanciunas is having a pretty big game Tuesday night. I think he keeps that rolling into Wednesday. I like the price tag on DraftKings. It actually came down a little bit, down to 6,400. I think he's pretty appealing to go to on Yahoo as well. He's $27. I think he's definitely in play over on Yahoo. But on DK, that's where Valanciunas really stands out against this Knicks front court, that he should be able to dominate, whether it's Randall, Taj Gibson, Mitchell Robinson, Bobby Portis. It's going to be some combination of those guys, of those 4 guys guarding Valanciunas, and he should easily be able to have success against any of those guys, whichever one matches up against him. We know Valanciunas, an incredibly productive player. Like, the guy averages like 1.3 fantasy points per minute. It's just a matter of will he get the minutes or not. And in matchups against teams that play big, that's when I like to that's when I like to target Joe Val. Today's one of those days. But then, just like in this mid-range, you got Jared Allen you could look to, 6,100 against Detroit. He had a monster game against Detroit a couple days ago, 40 minutes, 50 DraftKings points. The minutes are going to be there, especially if DeAndre Jordan remains out. I think DeAndre Jordan's questionable, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, DeAndre Jordan's actually going to play today. Okay, so DeAndre Jordan's going to be back. That will take some minutes away from Jared Allen. so probably less interested in him, especially because we do have a guy like Jakob for cheaper, who I still like quite a bit, even though his price came up to 5,600. He was one of the chalkiest value plays on the last slate once we got the news that LaMarcus Aldridge was going to be out. And he put up a monster game, had 40 DraftKings points in 36 minutes against the Bulls. Like, this is a guy that averages over a fantasy point per minute. It seems like Popovich will give him the minutes when Aldridge is out. Even though that game went into overtime, like, Poeltl still played 30 minutes at the end of regulation. I'd probably have to project him for like 30 minutes today and probably 30 to 35 DraftKings points, which is still really good at 5,600 on DK. And hopefully, with this price tag coming up, people are going to shy away with the price coming up. I still have quite a bit of interest in Jakob Poeltl, and on Yahoo, he still looks like one of the best values at center. Only $14. Price tag didn't come up enough. With Aldridge out again, definitely going to be going right back to Jakob Poeltl. It's a much tougher matchup, but this guy is a very productive player when he gets minutes, especially when he gets minutes at center, which is what he's getting right now with Aldridge out. But I think that's probably it for center plays. Like, you got some of the guys you could play here that I've already talked about, like Markieff. If Drummond's out, you could look to. If PJ Tucker starts at center, you could maybe go there. Miles Turner's in a good spot, so he could be in play against the Bulls if he does play. Obviously, if he's out, a guy like Sabonis is going to really benefit. Hartenstein, keep an eye on him. If Capella's out again, I don't think Hartenstein's like completely out of play. I wouldn't be surprised if he winds up starting either in a matchup against Whiteside. So that'll be news we just kind of have to keep an eye on heading into Wednesday. But that's it for center, guys. I think that's pretty much it for the video. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. Hopefully it helped you. If you did enjoy, make sure you drop a like down below. As always, I do greatly appreciate that. Hit that subscribe button as well, so that way you won't miss out on any of my new videos. If you do click the notification bell, you will get notified every time I upload. Also, link down below, you can check out my Patreon, see all the exclusive content I do have to offer over there. You can also give me a follow over on Twitter. My Twitter is linked down below as well, at DFS by Noah. But anyways, guys, good luck tonight. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope it helped, and we will see you tomorrow. Peace.